where did it come from? Where did we come from? Where did thoughts come from? I've been feeling this a lot lately with understanding who people are, and you gotta understand yourself a little bit better before you can make a judgment of who you think someone is when you're trying to get to know them as a person, right?
Mhm.
So we sit here as friends and having a conversation and going to be able to communicate and hopefully, you know, add more depth to our relationship as
Totally.
friends and understanding each other.
Yeah.
And one thing that I want to get more comfortable with in meeting people is not the obligatory, like, where are you from? What do you do?
Right.
But like really understanding who you are and almost having like an opening question for a person like that. Like, do you believe in magic?
Great question.
You know, and then there's the
Easy,
classic
easy
song, of
place to
course,
begin.
we all hear it. Do you believe in magic? And now you're having fun with it, right? But I wonder, like, do you believe in magic?
Oh man, absolutely. In fact, it's been like maybe the most interesting topic and word for me in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So, connecting it to all the different things from spirit to ether to like the question you brought up in your intro, which was like, where do thoughts live, come
Mm-hmm.
from, go?
Yeah.
The whole ideas being ethereal and available. And when they come to you, it's your moment to either hold on to them or let them pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Mm-hmm.
yesterday I had brought up to you like the interesting concept of channeling.
Mm.
That's been like on my magical spectrum lately, where it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, channeling some of the most interesting books, texts, ideas, and whole like works, bodies of work have come from channeling, ones I've seen lately. And that's been kind of just like of deep interest to me
Mm-hmm.
because, it's like an alternative way of learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's downloading
Mm-hmm.
from some unknown,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so like that for me is where magic is sitting. Like I said, I had a little spell with like, do I want to play with dark magic?
Mm.
Had a quick experience in the woods and decided like that's a definite no. So I'm out on that, which felt good. I don't want
Yeah.
to go into dark magic. I want
Yeah.
to see what's possible for people,
Mm-hmm.
trying to like bring magic into people's everyday.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I love that. So call it the light or white magic,
Yes.
the pure, the positive,
Yes.
the good, if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah. Like an example of that is like what I've been saying to you for the last 2 days, right? My mantra.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is working to my advantage in the most perfect way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's magic because whatever happens to you, whatever I'm experiencing, I hit with that mantra and I'm right where I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is working to my advantage in the most perfect way.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden it's like my energy and that ether and that magic
Mm-hmm.
gets put right out on top of it,
Mm-hmm.
paint the canvas with it, feels good, feels right, trust,
Mm-hmm.
So now it's unfolding and we know it's unfolding exactly as it should, no matter what happens, And so that's the ride that I've been on and I'm loving it. And I'm feeling like helping other people get there similarly with a simple tool has been the biggest impact of like magic I've had in the last little bit.
Yeah, it's a beautiful mantra, being able to shift your context of your reality by quickly, using some words that are AKA spelled away, AKA spelling as a spell
100%.
to actually use this magic to
Absolutely.
change your reality. It's, kind of tricking yourself into believing a thing. It's like the placebo of reality and the placebo of life, that if I believe this thing to be good for me, it is. If I believe this food to be good for me, it is.
Agreed. And also moving it away from the thought of it being a trick. Like I agree, I've used that language, but back to your spelling, like very particular with language. I've been really working on don't use try. I'm not trying. This is the thing I'm doing. Being really clear. So like it's not a trick, it's actually a power. It's a real magic. And so that's where I'm like really starting to learn how powerful words are and being more particular with the ones I use. And that training for yourself, especially with people around you to help you, to like, you hear me say try, like call me on it, and that my wife's been doing that. And like more people around me are like, What did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Say it again.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've been studying Shin-po, which is like this martial art of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so we say like Shin-poet or I'm a Shin-poet, right? Shin-po and like poet. And we're like, okay, how do you say it that way? Intentionally doing that thing for you and for other people, like helping that communication be clear and helping it happen with energy. You know, believing that spell is power. So, you know, I was telling you yesterday, 7% of communication is the words. Really, really interesting. So when you break that down, that's why in-person communication is so wonderful, because there's so many signs I can get from you and so many indications that my brain is like, okay, Hayden's with me. He's listening. He knows this concept. Like we're getting closer on it. And then versus like when let's say we're on Zoom or, you know, a remote call.
Yeah.
There's just that much less that I'm in touch with.
Yeah.
So that communication is different. Maybe the words at that point go up to 20% because there isn't more to fill in. So we've been learning about that and being like super careful with the way we talk, the way we're, you know, choosing to tell your own story internally. So those internal words are big, right? We all get information and then your mind tells you a story about it. That's what if you can control that, it's like, this is how I've done the example. My wife doesn't like this because it's a technology example, but like the phone. Okay. It's this like everything goes through it to come to you through the screen, the processor, right? That point of control, single point of control. They can control that, right? So all the information going through that thing to you is filtered by this point. Okay. So we all understand that. We all have gotten used by the algorithm, et cetera. Now, what I'm saying is to now create that same control, which you have, your processor, your crystal, that moment of things coming into you, turn into your story, right? Through your brain, your interpretation, all that. That's where I'm right now, like trying to go, okay, you control the crystal, the point, the input, right? That's the point where you control that narrative at all times. So that's back to the Rogan, worst thing that ever happened to you is the worst thing that ever happened to you.
Yeah.
For one person, it's a broken nail. For another person, it's a murdered and a raped mother. Whoa. Two totally different things. Same reaction. So why? Because that story for them internally was one thing. Control that, control it all is like where I'm at.
Such a powerful bottleneck, that constriction of information, where now that we're in the digital age, you have every answer to every question in your pocket. So everything you could ever want to know exists in the widest spectrum possible. Good,
through
bad,
a filter,
black, white, right. And then it's constricted down into this bottleneck dictated by an algorithm, which then opens
controlled
back up
by a tech company
into your perception. And you can ideally take it or leave it however you want, as long as you recognize that those like systems of control are in there that are filtering your information that you're given. But you know, to bring it back to the ultimate cliche that I think Yoda said it best, actually, that there is no try, of course. And I appreciate that so much, because having that, like, I always say that like placebo is real, you know, that like
totally
unconstricted version of reality where you're always putting the positive, enthusiastic, optimistic, forward-looking, you know, hopeful and really thoughtful version of your reality that's going to work out in the best way possible for you, and like applying that to every part of your life. There's infinite opportunity, you know, there are no bounds to your reality when you accept that there are no bounds to your reality. You know, for like a long time, my personal Instagram, I think it might still actually just says that like I'm a manifester, because it's something I've believed in from a long time, since I saw a spirit science video on YouTube a long time ago, where you can like create your own reality, you know. And
my Instagram is intuition, TIAAN.
Oh, that's right.
And same. Like for me, that's something I've always like touched with and want to pay attention to more. But like you're saying, kind of the endless game of life is that story, controlling it, using it, you know, benefiting yourself with it. Power.
Yeah, you know, the control is something that I feel at times I have a complete grasp on, and others I don't. And it has a lot to do with like the information I gain sometimes, where, you learn things and it changes your perspective on reality
Yep.
a little bit, where I thought I knew
Absolutely.
this about, my immediate community I live in. And it turns out they're changing a road or a bridge. And now I have to figure out a new way to get from A to B. It's not as fast as it used to be or
Yep.
something, or even, to highlight your communication statistic about 7%. I learned a little bit more just about like olfactory senses
Mm.
and how strong our noses are
Yes.
actually, and how we can, as humans, smell water from like really far
Hmm.
distances away. We're able to smell water from some absurd 10 miles or
Wow.
something like that,
Cool.
stronger than like a lot of animals actually.
Wow.
And that we have sub-perceptive abilities with our olfactory senses, like being able to smell pheromones on the opposite sex,
Ooh,
and a lot of
sharp.
our unknown subconscious attractive, qualities of the other sex as a person is actually something you're smelling and you're not realizing. And
Yes.
it's thought that like instinctually encoded into our DNA, but part of our physiological abilities with smell too, is even like a, real mammal that can smell the opposite sexes in heat or not, that we could smell that of the opposite sex.
Yes.
And so a
Totally.
woman's ability to tell how fertile, how strong, how virile a man is,
Hmm.
essentially, and even a man's ability to smell per se, if he wasn't able to perceive that a woman is pregnant,
Yes.
kind of thing,
Yeah, I've heard about this because of the birth control
Mm.
dilemma. Have you heard
Mm-hmm.
that? So it's
Yeah.
like basically that if a woman's on birth control, that changes that sensitivity that you're
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
therefore, she may pick a man for the wrong reasons, essentially, like
Mm-hmm.
the non-biological reasons, is
Mm-hmm.
what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, you liked him for his looks and his money or what, whatever, superficial.
Mm-hmm.
But had you had your biology not be affected by this medicine, you would have picked up on his pheromones and known that you were more compatible, and it would have lasted a long time because that
Mm-hmm.
would have always been there.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of it being a shift of like, oh, well, now we're together, I'm off birth control, and now your hormones shift,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're like, I hate this guy,
Mm-hmm.
or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not saying it has to happen, but like, yeah. So that's why having a 16-year-old daughter, that's a big conversation for us because, we want to be like aware and trying to like do the right thing and educate her and let her know how it works. And
Yeah.
do I know how it works? Or should you be learning from me if I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's like been a topic between my wife and I, and I'm kind of like, okay, you're the woman, take the girl.
Mm-hmm.
I was the man, I took the boys. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm responsible for them, but you're responsible for her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been funny, but I've learned, and really like also through that learned that women can know their ovulation cycle and know that there's 2 or 3 days that you have to be very careful and all this stuff, that I was like, oh, okay, that's probably education we should all have,
Yeah.
instead of going the like, don't worry about it, plan B, birth control, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
etc.
The sensory experience when communicating, whether it's new people, old friends, navigating new conversations or new relationships, is such a human experience that I think we've really lost the ability to intuit. And it's a really powerful thing that was natural to us that is no longer there. And so I feel as though we're slowly, unfortunately, kind of losing some of our ability to communicate as humans in this digital age, where so many of us are hyper pharmaceuticalized. And, how can you trust your gut when your gut is being destroyed
Right.
by different drugs, chemical, hormonal reaction, endocrine disrupting, environmental toxins? We're just not the same humans, essentially, that we were.
Absolutely.
And now being bombarded in this information age with the amount of just media that we're able to consume at such a rapid timeline, it's as though our bodies and our minds can't evolve as quickly as the timeline is, and certainly can't adapt to the environmental toxins, kind of thing.
Totally.
And so I wonder, I can reel this back in a little bit to kind of like the chicken and the egg. So we have this, placebo ideology where you can believe something good for you and therefore it is. But there's actually, the autonomic nervous system underworkings of the body where, you and I are comfortable with each other, we can smell each other, kind of thing. But you maybe are really fired up and you've got a lot of cortisol going on because you just got back from a hockey tournament or something, and maybe you got checked a couple times, and it's like there's something else coming out of your blood, which even though you're sitting and smiling being friendly with me, there might actually be like a little residual, like, battle where there's some salt and some blood and some sweat and some tears in there. And I'm kind of, even though I'm not thinking about it, and I'm feeling it more,
you
than
can
I'm
smell it.
like, how do I trust my gut right now? Is it my brain? Is my gut? And so, what came first there? That chicken and the egg? Was it this like environmental precursor subcontext to our language that, predilected what was going to happen? Or was it actually like the openness, consciousness of the mind, free willing,
right,
positive, enthusiastic experience? It's like, you never can quite tell, like, where did it come from? Where did it start? Actually,
it's true. I mean, it's, when you do think about the chicken and the egg thing, it's super fun to go through that in your head, because they're like, well, there had to be an egg. But wait, doesn't the chicken have to lay on the egg to make the egg? And then, yeah. And so you do get into that, like, does that even make sense for something to go through that phase first? How? Right. And then it's like with us, I always think about, like, yes, we're all having our own experience, and like meeting you. How did I meet you? Why did we continue conversation? Like, what was it or whatever? But I think I don't even remember meeting you specifically the one time. But what attracts me to you is that you go for it.
Yeah.
Right. So like maybe the first time I met you, you were nice, but when I started to like learn, see your background, see things, what attracted me to you is that like you had a like go for it type of personality on things, from kombucha to, flying to, just winter sports and climbing mountains and, all the things that I'm seeing that you're into. For me, I'm like, oh yeah, this guy, like, he's going for it. And that's like, that's what I care about. I care that like people are not wasting their time, and they're, spending their time and pushing. And that's so that, like the chicken and the egg thing is interesting, of like, well, what stage are you at? Too, like some people are in the egg waiting to break out. Some people are a crazy chicken, like running around full on. Everybody's in a phase of that in their life. And like, I'm in my late 40s, and we were talking about all the shifts that you have from, the time you're a teenager and you're deciding to go for it, and then what that means in your 20s, and what that means in your 30s, and like now what this means for me in my 40s, and then God forbid, like, I'm starting to think about my 50s. But like that wisdom shifts in major ways. It takes time, 5-10 years. But if you look at the 5-10 year periods, you do shift your knowledge, your wisdom, and your thought process, and you grow, hopefully for the better. But again, like you're saying, there's so much information, so much change. And it's like so fast that we feel like we can't adapt, but we are adapting. We've always adapted. And the next thing's always been the concern, right? We'll call it AI now. It's going to end the world, just like the internet, just like cell phones, just like, name it.
The car.
Right. Right. Well, this is the end of us, but it hasn't been yet. And what are we going to sit back and like, wait? So no, it's like, go for it, do this. And, to the communication point, I am interested in like, what's the next way, right? We went through this social media kick. We're in a podcast kick. I love podcasts. For me, that's been a big high impact type of influence in media, where I feel like I am actually like getting quality information and very personal, like conversations like this. I love storytelling, and for me, it's like, I feel more informed some days if I listen to an hour podcast about a great conversation versus just music. I love music. Absolutely. And I have moments and weeks where I'll just be like, what's music time? But then I had a big shift into podcasts and really saw that like, okay, I do feel good to have like a morning conversation versus like a morning music. So, I've kind of replaced the morning with good conversations and moved to the music in the afternoon and evening.
That's a good work day flow, life balance. I appreciate the reciprocal energy quotient of the podcast, getting more out of it than when you put into it. It's beyond a symbiotic relationship. And similarly, I've kind of shifted how and when I consume my media, whether it's an audible book on
Hmm.
tape or a podcast or music and times of day. And I find a real comfort with it that I similarly would to, say, NPR 15
Hmm.
years ago or
Right.
something, where it's
Yeah.
like there's a little bit of good stuff in there, but a lot of it kind of turns into white noise too, unless I'm really diligently paying attention. And I think at times I've probably even abused that media in a way that it could have been more beneficial to my daily habits, and that like I'm always listening to podcasts and
Hmm.
probably not like working as efficiently as I can. When if I in fact had just been listening to like classical music with no words, I would have been a lot more focused and a lot more on whatever project I had been working on, whether it's emails or working in the lab and creating toothpicks and
It's
studying
interesting
for
you talk
pilot
about
school.
toothpicks. We're going to stop here for a quick break about Stokes.
Word from our sponsor.
Word from our sponsor, and you're our
Ha
sponsor.
ha ha.
So, talk about what toothpicks are doing for you
Absolutely.
and expound on your focus
Yeah.
that you were just talking about. Because when I have a Stokes pick, I lock in.
Ha ha ha. Stokes Picks, the world's first organically flavored, all natural nicotine toothpick made from sustainably sourced white American birch wood right here in the good old USA. We're the only company in the world that uses organic flavorings, and we have some of the most distinguished top shelf flavors of any toothpick that you will ever find. And I can say that easily, calmly, coolly, confidently. Having been a flavor guru for a long time, I owned a kombucha company and I was an executive fine dining chef in Aspen. Flavor is really my thing. So I put a lot of time into the formula, like creating these flavors like cinnamon clove,
Which is
vanilla
what we're enjoying right
mint,
now, and it's excellent.
lemon ginger. My personal favorite, absinthe. And so if you like black licorice, that beautiful anise flavor is quite decadent, I have to say. And the effect of the nootropics, which is nicotine, is such a calm focus like I've never had before. Gives me the best. Get my focus with my Stokes pick here. Um, we're gonna just keep looping back into chicken or the egg, chicken and the egg. I think both sayings are used almost like colloquially. They don't mean the same thing, but it's such an old adage, and it like becomes this like turn of phrase, paraphrase that people forget that the philosophical question, is it the chicken or the egg? But then it's known as the chicken and the egg kind of thing. And so,
Okay.
you and I, as like two people here who are both humans, so we think. I haven't done any testing on you
Right.
yet. We'll see here if you're
Excellent.
Andromedan or not. But, if I were to be the chicken and you were to be the egg as you posed, you don't actually remember meeting me. And what's funny is I don't actually remember meeting you either.
Okay.
And I was thinking about that on the drive here yesterday, because one time it was a party concert event or something, might have been here, might have been somewhere else. We were like, yeah, I don't remember if we met like at a festival or something.
Right.
And that kind of like stuck with me. I was like, I've known this guy, for 10, 15 years or something, but I can't remember the moment when we like did the thing and shook the hands. And there's like
I know,
kind of a
because
power to that.
totally. And I was thinking about, like, there is a moment where I remember you were working a bar at an art gallery in Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was when we had like multiple nights at that
Mm-hmm.
place, which was super cool.
That's right.
But
The elevated
I
cafe.
brought someone back to your bar to introduce them to you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
when I thought like, oh, that's the first time I met Hayden, I'm like, it's not, because I was introducing him to something,
Yeah,
and
that's
you were
right.
serving kombucha.
Yep.
And like, okay, I remember that, but I feel like that was already a year.
Mm-hmm.
I think I met you at Cats
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
That's another time. So one time I was really sick in Aspen,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to a party at Cats, and Melissa was like, you can do this, you can do this. I was like, babe, I do not feel good. Like, I had a temperature,
Mm-hmm.
I've been working 2
Mhm.
weeks on TV and just like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to Penny Hot Springs,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like freezing, but then we went to Penny Hot Springs and it was hot as
Mm.
fuck, and then cold right next to it. And I was like, this is awesome. It's like exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
So I just like went in the hot water and melted.
Yeah.
And I feel like you were there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also possible.
So, but I don't know when we met.
I draw back to also the X Games,
Right.
and I want to say that one of the first times we met was also like on the slopes.
I was going to say, I remember you vended there.
Yeah, and I had a booth.
Right.
for elevated elixirs.
But I thought, okay, so I was thinking I had something to do with that, but chances are I didn't. You just
No.
did that on your own.
Yep, totally. I was there for 2 years, and we were set up selling
Yep.
hot. I think I had like a hot ginger turmeric chocolate kind of thing
Mhm.
that I was infusing with CBD.
Yeah, you had the CBD, I remember.
Yep. And somebody from ESPN came up actually and kind of said like, whoa, 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 put the kibosh on this
Yes, I
like
remember that.
cannabis thing.
Yes.
And yeah, that was an interesting scenario, you know, slinging the pseudo illicit substances on the
That
Aspen Ski
CBD, you
Company
gotta be careful.
property. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was all above board though. Certainly, I had my license for all of that back then. Um,
It was
but
great
yeah,
CBD.
I wanted to ask you actually about kind of your career a little bit with
Mhm.
ESPN. And you
Yeah.
mentioned that at one point you were doing like the bass fishing tournaments.
Yep.
So I wondered like what your position was when you're involved with the bass fishing and how it's evolved to like what you do now.
Totally. Yeah. So when I went to college in Rhode Island, took computers, played 2 sports, hockey and lacrosse in college. And really that's why I went to college, was like play sports. I didn't know what to do. My sister's like, it's the late 90s. Like, just take computers, you'll get a job. So I took computers, liked computer programming, worked with another guy there. He got a job out of school at a software company in Middletown, like 2 towns down in Rhode Island, just above Newport. So I moved there and like took that job. And we did like, organizing warehouses, Rebuilders Automotive Supply, organizing warehouses and like, barcoding everything and being able to know how many parts you have and sell it and reload and all this stuff.
Inventory fulfillment.
Yeah. So it was like a good learning experience, but pretty boring job. Like 18 months in, they were like, listen, we're going out of business. Like, you have 3 months maybe that we can keep you on the books, but like, it's time to go find another job. I was like, oh shit. So I like was stressing a little bit about that. I went out drinking in Newport and like playing pool.
So you always find the answers.
And I got like, yeah,
Bottom
I was
of the
like, this
bottle.
is the way. And I like, playing pool by myself in the back of the Pelham and a little extra drunk, just sad on myself.
Yeah.
And, guy came back and like played pool with me. He's like, you all right? I'm like, I lost my job. Like, it's not a great day. And he's like, well, I work for Monster Jobs. He's like, tell me your dream job. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, actually, I want to work in television. I want to work in sports. I was like, I want to work for ESPN.
No way.
And he's like, okay, I'll get you an interview. And I was like, all right, like drunk, like whatever, like, wow, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
And so like from then I got another job and, it was a terrible job. I didn't like it. Didn't really hear from the guy. My wife's family lived in Japan and we went to visit them. They lived like, downtown Tokyo, a beautiful spot. We had seen the country, taken trains around, had an amazing Japan tour. Part of that, her dad wanted to build a computer. So we like got all these parts and we're like in his place building the computer. When we finally put it together, like we were like, let's go on the internet and get email. So I like went on the internet, checked my email, and there's like you have an interview Thursday. And it was like Tuesday. And I'm in Tokyo. I was like, dude, I got to get
quite
home.
the turnaround. Yeah.
I was like, I got to get home.
Yeah.
So they helped me out and got a flight home, brought me to the airport. I fly home, drive to Bristol, Rhode Island, put a suit on and drive to Bristol, Connecticut and show up at this office like, 10 a.m. or something.
Wow.
Turns out it was March.
Jet lagged.
And they put me in a conference room and I'm sitting there with my suit and they're in the other room screaming, just like, whoa, and this is going on for like 45 minutes. I'm like sweating. I need to go to the bathroom. I'm like, should I go? I don't know. I'm like, this is getting weird. And people are like walking by, kind of like laughing at me in a suit too, because it's a glass conference room. And so I'm just waiting. And they finally come in. They're like, dude, so sorry. Like, went to triple overtime. It's the first day of the tournament. Like, we were all watching.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, yes.
Work took second fiddle to
totally
the
to
game.
like watching NCAA basketball. So I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So they come in, they're like, yeah, tell us about your background. I'm like, I've had a job for 2 years, blah, blah, blah. This is what I've been doing. Super into sports. They're like, great, awesome. They're like, you willing to travel? I'm like, absolutely. They're like, perfect. They're like, you know how to program, right? I'm like, yeah. They're like, do you play softball? I'm like, yeah. I was like, I played hockey and lacrosse, but I'm like a good athlete. Like, I'll play softball. They're like, perfect. Bring your glove. You start Tuesday.
Bring your glove.
They're like, you have a glove, right? I'm like, oh yeah. So like, I go home. I'm just like, holy shit. after that, I was like, whoa, I don't know what I'm going to make. Like, as I'm walking out, though, like, lead boss guy comes up to me. He's like, come here. What do you need to make? And I had gotten sent there with like a coach who was like, do not say a number. Do not say a number, you know? And so I was like, I'm sure whatever you're willing to pay is fair. Like, did the coaching talk. He's like, say a number. I'm like, no, I'm sure whatever you're going to pay is fair for the market value. Like, did the thing again. He's like, if you don't say a number, you don't get the job.
Wow.
So I was like,
hard ultimatum.
I was like 60, you know, and he's like, I'll give you 63. I was like, done. So I like so happy. Walk out to the car, you know, call the recruiter. He's like, how'd it go? I'm like, so good. I'm like, I start Tuesday. You know, he's like, you didn't say a number. I'm like, he's like, what? So we did that whole thing and like worked it out. And then, my first project was go to stadiums around the country with a modem, go up to the scoreboard room, plug it in, call my boss, put touchdowns and time on there, have him call into the modem and be like, yes, I see it. Go to the next one. So I would like, basically we were hooking up real-time data.
Analog.
So now on your bottom line, on your scoreboard, the clock would go live and the score would go live based off the stadium operator, not our graphics guy. That was my first project. They call it the real-time project.
Wow. So
we went to every stadium in the country, call in.
It's like you had to click a button.
Yep.
Old school.
Yep. And I put some touchdown on each team, put timeouts. So we made sure we're reading everything. We have the Dactronics protocol, right? So when it's Dactronics, it was easy. These other scoreboards were like crazy. But that was my first project. My second project was Great Outdoor Games. So we went all over and I was in charge of dog agility, bass fishing, like a couple other weird events. Everybody got a few events and that was your venue. I had a venue. There was 3 other guys who had a venue. And then log rolling. No, they've broken it out into like outdoor events, but Great Outdoor Games only made it like 3 to 5 years, something like that. Yeah. But then we bought Bass, the company. ESPN bought Bass and was like, this is the next big thing. We're going to blow it out. We're going to have, you know, TV bass. Yeah. It was real crazy. They put me on it because I was doing bass fishing. So my boss was like, you're in charge of bass. And I was like, what? So I like go meet them. They do everything by paper. And like pay checks to these guys, and there's people traveling the country bass fishing. Yeah, like serious. Yeah. So they're like, we want to computerize all this. We want an athlete database. We want invites. We want scoring. We want TV graphics. We want checks, direct deposit. Like, so we have to write an entire system. Yeah, and this is like a little bit above my level at this point. Like, I'm a programmer, but to write an entire system.
This is like mid 2000s.
This is like 2004. Yep. So, you know, I'm like ready to write an app, but ready to write a suite of apps that all talk and make sure they're synced, and like was a little bit like, whoa. So I try and get there and like, I'm running behind. My boss is like, are you going to get this done? I'm like, dude, I need help. And like a guy that I worked with was like, you know, I can help you. Like, I'm a senior engineer and like, you know, so Aaron Thiel was his name. And like, he came together and like put it all together and was like, this is how you do it. And I was like, damn, dude, hell yeah. This is awesome. So we like based everything on that. And him and I traveled with the system to bass events. All the major, they called them the majors, but the Bassmaster Classic is the like Super Bowl. Yeah. But we went to all Bassmaster events around the country.
And you had to set up with all the gear.
We set up
every time.
Scales, waterproof computers, you know, TVs, scoreboards, like TV graphics, like the works. We'd have registration day one. Everybody's come in, you know, up to 200
ESPN
anglers.
Road show.
Dude, big time.
Did that include the videography
team? Well, so then the TV production team would be separate.
Yeah, they're separate.
But we are their data interface. So when they call up a graphic, that message comes to us and we have to answer it with the correct data. Yeah. Right. So they call up like angler on stage graphic 9049. And we're like, it's Kevin Van Dam from, you know, Biloxi, Mississippi. Yeah. So it's like that was all part of it. So we're like constantly updating the database, pictures, headshots, boats, sponsors. Cause they're like, I ride a Skeeter, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm sponsored by Mercury. All that stuff has to be like, right. Cause that's their sponsorship. That's their money. That's their TV representation. So I was like learning on the fly, all of that, and just like traveled for 3.5 years on Bass Tour.
Oh, wow.
Which was an epic learning experience, crazy experience, and also seeing parts of the country you just don't see.
Yeah.
Clear Lake, California, and tons of time in Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Georgia, you know, just like where fishing is great. And everywhere I'd go, you know, people would be like, not from around here, are you? And I'm like, damn, no.
What a cool life experience to be like a young man in a new job and kind of working a lot of new tech too. And I'm sure like a lot of that.
And doing tech with people that aren't tech.
Yeah.
So like that was cool too, because they're just like, oh, cool, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like when this fish goes on the scale, I just hit accept and I'm done. Like everything changes. Like, whoa. So that was cool, and it was a great learning experience. And then Bass turned out that the deal Disney had made was a scam. Bass said, oh, we have this many magazine subscriptions, 9 million. Well, it turned out only like 1.2 million were paying.
Oh, okay.
So this money that they said they had, they didn't really have. And it all fell through. And then Bass said, well, we'll buy the company back. We're going to come out of Disney. So they did that and it went away. And I was kind of like, ooh, awesome.
Yep.
So that just ended. And then, you know, my boss was like, what do you want to work on? And I was like, X Games.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, you did a good job with Bass. Like, go see what you can do. So I went in and did registration for X Games. And like first year they had me on site. I met all the athletes. They all came in, boop, 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 you know, like took their picture. And I just took what I learned from Bass and brought it to X Games. And then I saw that like SMT was another company doing all of the scoring, timing, data, all that stuff. So, you know, I went to my boss and I'm like, how much are we paying for SMT?
Yeah, let's get
and
this
it's like $10 million. I was like, $10 million. Like, dude, give me 6 guys and we'll just crush it. And it was it happened to be that like they had bigger plans for X Games to go global. So they were going to even end up paying a lot more for all this service. So they were like, actually, this is a good idea. See if you can
vertically integrate. Let's do it in house.
So I was like,
where was X Games your first year?
LA.
LA.
So the first X Games I ever saw, I lived in Newport and X Games was in Newport.
Oh yeah.
That's what got me into it.
That's right.
I was downtown in my hometown and like there's a half pipe. There's people fucking
Tony Hawk
snowboarding in the sky. Like it was wild. They had cool events. Tony Hawk. Yeah. The Condor, like Matt Hoffman doing BMX. He like rode with his broken foot. So they had Street Luge in Providence.
PlayStation was still huge. PlayStation was like a sponsor, right? Or
big
Sony.
Time.
Yeah.
And like, it was just the thing. It was like, I'm doing the thing I wanted to do. Like, holy shit. So exciting. You know, also I have a wife now and like young kids. So it's starting to get like crazy. I'm bringing my wife. My wife is doing registration pictures. Like we're trying, we're doing everything we can to be together, take care of the kids, do all the things. And it's like, you know, just awesome. Dream, you know, dream life for me, because I was like doing what I wanted to do. And it didn't feel like work when I was like traveling. And learning TV for me was such a fun and interesting thing. It was like I didn't know what I had been watching this whole time. And to see behind the curtain and to see the cameras change and the lights go and the graphics and the all the thought into what I was blindly like, you know, being coerced by was super incredible to me. You know, I did my first event. I remember operating graphics in the back of the truck and they're screaming at me. And I'm like, why are they screaming at me?
It's not pressure.
And then the guy comes back and he's like, you don't have a fucking headset on? And I'm like, what? Why do I need that? You know, it's like, so I can talk to you. So I like put the headset on. Next thing you know, they're like, Cokas, do this, do this. I'm like, oh,
the naivete of the young gun.
And then of course you learn and like you do stupid shit. And like in TV, if you fuck up, they yell at you. And like for me, that was great because I'm like, just tell me. Like I could take it, but it was intense, super intense. And like that for me was like, whoa, okay, this job is serious. A lot's on the line. People care. At the end of the day, it's still sports. So right, usually no one dies. But you know, you're making television, you're learning.
Wild industry to be involved in for the last 20 years. You know, the evolution of television itself. The technology as well.
Technology. And my job has now completely changed. Like from going to all these events with a television truck.
Fast forward basically 20 years to what do you do now? Well,
like now the fiber is so fast, you don't need to be on site. COVID happened and it forced more what they call REMI, remote integrated events. So like now most of our events you don't travel to.
Mm-hmm.
They get all those signals back to you in real time, and you can be on campus in Bristol. You can be at home. They do everything like wirelessly, remotely, all this stuff. So it's just a totally different industry. And I got shifted into virtual production, which is like LED volumes that do 3D and make it look like you're wherever they want to be. So anything from commercials to Sports Center to environments, we just keep building more volumes, doing more 3D depth, doing more Unreal Engine graphics, and just, you know, we're following the tech. And, you know, we just did a Sports Center 50 and 50 bus tour, 50 states in 50 days. We didn't go to any states. We did it all on a volume, created the bus as an object.
Come on.
Have the bus driving down the road, environments, whatever, did it all.
Wow.
Saved 95% of production costs.
Of course.
And it won a Clio, like award. So like, you know, I've won Emmys. I've won, you know, we just won a Clio. It's like interest, which is like silly awards, whatever. But like, when my family saw like, you have an Emmy, I'm like, I have 3. You know, and so I like gave one to my parents. One's at work. Melissa won't let me have one in the house. But
very cool.
Yeah. So like it's just been like, for me, it's like still stayed interesting. And I think I'm one of the only people with like a corporate job in my friend group. So it's been interesting because people, you know, I get clowned a little bit here and there for it. I also get like respected by different people because certain people are like, oh, that's what you should do. And other people are like, you work for Disney? And I'm like, I do.
Played the game.
Yeah.
Well done, sir.
Yeah.
Fun with our edging on philosophical conversations intermingled with adventure and what's stoking your fire and what's really igniting you and what's your source of fuel these days. And you know, I really think that as we continue our conversation into like adventure and risk aversion, that it's an element I wish and hope for everyone to experience at some time in their own life. And you know, not everyone is built for that. Not everyone has that phenotype necessarily.
True.
There's definitely a big difference, certainly for men and women. You know, as you spoke to earlier about the human body's, you know, instinctual desire for safety is omnipresent. And whether there's more or less of that for different people, different cultures, different sexes, different ages, there's a lot of environmental influence on that. You know, are you in a first world culture where, you know, a roof over your head and clean drinking water and food are almost a given, where, you know, a day in the life of a poor person in India, say, could not have all those advantages. And so like, can you quantify fear or risk in the same way? It's just, you know, different strokes for different folks.
Totally.
I think. But you know, that safety net, that's a big part of the culture's ingraining, which I think is probably a lot more influential in first world American cultures, and the willingness to step outside of the norm, kind of that herd mentality, as you said, you know, because in the wild, as a wild animal, you're safer within the herd and within the pack. And if you do something outside of the norm, and you kind of step out those parameters, that's where you become more just vulnerable, you know, to predators.
Yeah, definitely.
It used to be, you know, a lion who was going to attack you and kill you in the savannah. But now, you know, we willingly put ourselves into these situations. And I just wonder, like, maybe as the human genome, let's say, evolves, like, are we potentially like restructuring those instinctual desires? Is there perhaps some physiological body mechanics within our DNA where like now, you know, we're willing to become base jumping, wingsuit, race car driving, you know, drug addled people, rock star lifestyle, just pushing it to the YOLO limits all the time. And why is that appealing?
Well, yeah, I mean, totally. I think, you know, we had a little bit of a discussion yesterday about this with like the culture in India and the class system and the way people treat life versus like you just said YOLO, right? You only live once lifestyle that we're taught like this is it. So if you subscribe to that, then it is like, well, you got one chance. So I think the people that get excited about that, do go for it and push it and whatever. But at the same time, there's all this programming of like, oh no, you can just sit here and watch your screen and that'll keep you safe and buy some of our stuff. And that is that rewiring us? I think it is. But when you think about the wisdom of time and the biology of time and us escaping wild predators and outside, like that was going on a lot longer than like this current impact and imprint. So yes, it's changing us, but it's like there's such a deeper wisdom that's affecting that inherent look for safety. So, there's a lot of like extreme athlete thought about it. There's like the whole other end of the spectrum that I like to push people on to, which is like the economics of it. So like our system requires risk for reward. It's set up with a safety net. So like you can go for it and be insane and go in crazy debt. And like the worst thing that happens to you is like you get a little break for 5 years, right? Like, oops, went bankrupt, didn't do it right, try again. Very rewarding to be like, hey, just go for it. So my grandfather pulled me aside when I was young to be like, listen to me. Because I was always like, how did you get money? And he's like, you got to take risks. And he's like, our system, our financial system is set up with a safety net. So you can go try to cross the tightrope. And if you fall, they'll catch you. And you're not actually in trouble. So he's like, yes, you'll lose your possessions. You might have some hardships and this and that, but like, you're right. It's easy to come back and take that risk. And if you take that risk, the chances of the reward are so much higher. So like, this is where, currently I'm taking a risk on like another property in another country. And it's out of what I probably like safety would do, but I'm like, let's push the limits. Let's go for it because this is big risk, big reward in my opinion. And it's something that could benefit my whole life, my family for a long time. So I'm like, okay, let's take this risk, especially because it's being handed to me with a safety net. So I just want to encourage people to be like, maybe take a look at taking a pretty serious chance. And I've given people this advice a little bit and honestly, it hasn't gone that well. And not to say people didn't do it, but they were a little bit offended by my advice because they want something. Right? They're after something, whether it be a bigger job or a bigger house or a bigger life or a better girlfriend or whatever it is, kids. And I'm like, I think you should consider taking a bigger risk. And people get uncomfortable with that. So like I had just started working with a client who like wanted my advice. I was working for him for free. We had done like 3 sessions. I felt like it was going pretty good. I gave that advice and that was the last session we had. So I'm reading into it, certainly.
His cup overfloweth with risk.
Right. So, I found that interesting because I'm like, okay, it does make certain people, especially uncomfortable to take financial risk, and I get that. But I'm just saying like, if you don't take any risk financially, it really takes a long time to pay off. So, if you can take a controlled risk, a safe risk, I think it's worth it.
So don't sit on the nest for too long.
That's my opinion,
says the chicken.
That's right.
If you put all of those eggs in one basket, they may not hatch.
That's right. Exactly. And you want your eggs to hatch because they came first.
Or did they?
That will be answered in the next 1,000 episodes. So stay tuned and you may know the answer. But I would like in the comments, was it the chicken or the egg?
Yeah, let's hear from you.
Okay. The Apple Bottom Boys will reveal in episode 1111.
4-1. That is the info.
2 and 2.
4-1-1. 2 bites.